What's up, Bills Mafia? Fernando Schmude here, and that's they're leading the charge. Today, talking about this day one of the draft. Crazy day one for the Bills, some trade downs. Not that it was completely unexpected, but obviously, Bills Mafia was totally ready for the addition of some new wide receivers for this year squad, but unfortunately, or fortunately, time will tell, right? The Bills trade down, moved out of the first round, and they will have one extra pick in the third round. They positioned themselves in a better situation in other rounds, right? And there are still some value on the board where the Bills can add some quality players and strengthen this squad for 2024. Bills Mafia, hit that like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel. That's where I'm producing content now that Vox Media, unfortunately, isn't producing content via Buffalo Rumblings anymore. So feel free to join, to subscribe to my channel to help me to keep producing content for the Bills Mafia. And today I'm going to share my thoughts on these trades and the value that the Bills could add via those draft picks. We'll see the picks made tonight probably. I wouldn't be surprised by more moves by Brandon Beane. I'm not 100% sure that the Bills are going to draft with this 33rd pick, and it wouldn't surprise me that him moving down yet again and adding more picks, adding more ammo, so he can add a veteran wide receiver, maybe. Who knows? The Bills can't take a contract now with the cap situation, but we know that people find ways to move that money to open some cap space to make it work. And if Beane really wants to add a Brandon Ayuk type, a Deebo Samuel type, a T. Higgins type, I feel like he can make things work some way. And I wouldn't be against it. All right, I wouldn't be against it, even with the situation that we are sure the Bills will need to pay a lot for those guys in money in their next contracts. It's not like the Bills didn't have a big money wide receiver on the roster with Stephon Diggs, and they just extended him last season. So they were planning with Diggs' contract going forward. So it's not like it's totally far-fetched to think they are going to add a wide receiver, a veteran guy, and pay one of them at least. And I would like to add, especially T. Higgins. I'm not sold on Deebo Samuel. I think he's not the kind of wide receiver I'd like to add to this roster. All right. And I'd go more in the T. Higgins route and Brandon Ayuk route. I feel like they are threats downfield, the kind of guy that can become a true number one for the Bills. And maybe Beane just was telling the truth when he said the Bills don't need a number one wide receiver. And I get that. I get that if you believe Dalton Kincaid will be your number one pass catcher, and okay, it's a lot of expectation over a second-year player, but I get it. Kincaid showed some promise, and I feel like he can become a number one weapon for the Bills this season. But we still got to help him, right? And okay, Khalil Shakir also made great strides last season, established himself as a guy that Allen can trust, a guy that can create yards after catch, a guy that can run good routes, especially a guy that doesn't drop the ball so often as Gabe Davis used to do, and even Diggs was doing recently. I feel like, Shakir established himself as a solid complementary piece and has some number two potential. And when I say number two, yes, number two wide receiver and number two pass catcher maybe. Curtis Samuel, I feel like a lot of the Bills Mafia still undervalues the Curtis Samuel signing as a guy like McKenzie was, or like Deontay Hardy was signed to be. A guy, a Swiss knife arm, a guy that could be used in several different ways, but not a true starter. And maybe Joe Brady and the Bills just saw him as a guy that can start right now, and I'm more and more confident on that. And yes, he offers that Swiss knife type to run some jet sweeps, to be used in the backfield sometimes, to play a little bit in the slot, a little bit outside. He has the speed to stretch the field when needed. He has the experience, so I feel the Bills are planning to play him a lot, maybe more than people expect. And with that said, you maybe have already your starters in place here, even though you ideally expect a better quality wide receiver playing alongside one of them, maybe a true X wide receiver, maybe just a guy that can be more dangerous than those guys, than what we expect from those guys, because Shakir's potential is still untapped. We can still see more from Shakir maybe. So I feel like looking at the starting lineup, you can see like Shakir, Samuel, Kincaid. Don't forget about Dawson Knox. That's a guy that play more in line tight end than Kincaid, a guy that can block better, a guy that can offer some yards after catch. I know a lot of people are down on Knox for last season, but that's a guy that 2 years ago we considered a rock solid tight end. And with that said, for two tight end sets and even three wide receiver sets, sometimes we'll see Kincaid lining up in the slot, and Shakir will need to play outside, and Samuel will need to play outside a bit as well. So I feel like Bills Mafia, and myself included, we might have overlooked those guys. We might have overlooked even Mac Hollins, a guy that is a role player, obviously, but he's a big guy, a guy that can contribute in the run game, blocking, a solid possession guy. And yeah, it's not like it's a top-notch wide receiver group, but it's not like they don't have players to play right away. So with that said, I can see why maybe Brandon Beane thought it was too pricey, too expensive to move up, to get Romeo Dunze maybe, to get Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. Those were dream scenarios. And Beane himself said that he didn't try to move up in this draft. It was like smokescreen, and he wanted just to wait and see the players that would fall for him. Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that I saw a lot of people wanting him, a lot of people wanting to move up for him, but honestly, I don't see Brian Thomas Jr. As a guy that could really be a difference maker over guys like Adonai Mitchell or even Xavier Worthy or guys like that. So I really feel like sitting on 28 or even trading down and getting other maybe Adonai Mitchell, maybe even Keon Coleman, those kind of guys. I'm not a big Led McConkey guy, but for people who likes Led McConkey, I'm not really confident and not really sold that Brian Thomas is a really better, a way better prospect right now. So I get it. I can understand Beane not wanting to move up, and I got it. I can understand it. But then going to 28 overall, and now I see a lot of people mad at Brandon Beane, mad at the Buffalo Bills because they didn't trade out of the first round in the first place, right? But they moved down, traded with Kansas City Chiefs, and they kind of gave away Xavier Worthy to him. And I can relate to that because I had the opportunity to mock Xavier Worthy to the Bills in a draft here in Brazil for a famous channel here in Brazil that had a draft with a lot of content creators. I had the opportunity to draft Xavier Worthy to the Bills, and I know that a lot of Bills Mafia down here didn't like my pick. A lot of questions, a lot of doubts about Xavier Worthy, and when it happened, I even recorded a video for my channel here in Portuguese. It's available here if you want to see and try one of those apps to translate it to English. You're welcome. But I was explaining that in my point of view, Xavier Worthy was and is a difference maker. All right, I believe people has put him in a box because he run a great 40-yard dash in a box, in a John Ross box, in a box that a guy that won't succeed because of he's so fast. And they forgot to look at his tape, because this guy has a great tape. This guy, he runs great routes. People question his hands, but downfield he rarely drops a pass. He has soft hands and excellent ball tracking skills to make those deep throw catches. So I feel like Worthy is a guy with a big time potential. He's a guy that can be a true difference maker, and that's why I was confident drafting him at 28 in my mock opportunity. And I was also confident as having him as my fifth wide receiver ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. on my board. I had Marvin Harrison Jr. first, Neighbor second, Odunze third, and then Adonai Mitchell, and then Worthy. Sixth guy was Brian Thomas Jr. I really believe he's a difference maker. There are speedy guys and there are Worthy speed guys. So this guy is so fast. He's so quick out of his breaks. He's so smooth also running his routes and changing directions. I really believe he would be a difference maker. So if you saw this tape from Xavier Worthy and you are mad at the Bills for trading out or trading with Kansas City Chiefs and allowing them to draft Xavier Worthy, I get that. All right, I get it. Because you like the prospect a lot. Now, if you like the other prospect, for example, I liked Adonai Mitchell more, but I know a lot of people, Randy Hardman, my friend that has been a lot with me here in the Leading the Charge, loves Xavier Leggett. And other people loves Led McConkey, right? So we have the Troy Franklin crowd. We have a lot of people liking different wide receivers. So if you love not just Worthy, but one of those other wide receivers at 28, you can be mad at Brandon Beane as well, because he didn't trade to the Kansas City Chiefs Xavier Worthy. He didn't know who the Chiefs would pick there. All right. All he knew was that for him it was worthy, right, to move down a couple or three spots and to add a third round pick, right? So we get back to that conversation from the NFL screwing the Bills, because they were expecting a third round pick from the compensatory formula, and it didn't come. And this decision is tied to that, because Beane wanted that third round pick badly. I was pretty sure pre-draft that he would trade maybe a next year's pick, maybe this year's pick, as he's done, to add a third round pick. He was counting on that on the entire process. He was sure that he would get the third round pick from Edmonds, and it didn't arrive. So he traded down to the Chiefs, knowing that they could go wide receiver, and he kind of didn't care. He was okay. I don't have my guy. I don't have the guy that I really want here, and I can't pass him. I don't have the guy I love here. That's why he moves down. So it says a lot about those wide receivers, those picks, because Brandon Beane himself also said that he didn't have 30 first round grades on this draft, right? He had around 20, 22. And so he saw all those wide receivers available there as second round talents. And he's going to draft a wide receiver probably in the second round today, right? So from this standpoint, it makes sense. Now, I get it. Trading with Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs has been a one step ahead of the Bills for this entire window, right? And it started with the Patrick Mahomes pick, which I'm not mad at. I know a lot of people are mad, and a lot of people say, oh, the Bills traded the pick that could have been Mahomes. I honestly don't see, if Patrick Mahomes is drafted in Josh Allen's place, I don't see him having the same success as he has had with the Chiefs. I don't see him having even the success Josh Allen has had with the Bills, right? And I'm 100% behind Josh Allen. I stick with my guy. I believe Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I believe Patrick Mahomes was drafted into a great situation with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if Josh Allen in Mahomes' situation would be better than Mahomes, but I know for sure Mahomes wouldn't have been better than Josh Allen in his situation. All right, I feel like the chances that Allen would have been better in Mahomes' place are higher than Mahomes succeeding in Josh's place. So that's why I'm not mad at the Chiefs trading with the Bills and drafting Mahomes, because Bean could correct it, or could he had a plan, and the plan was Josh Allen, and I feel it was worthy. I feel like at the end of the day, Josh was worth it, right? So that's why I'm not mad at this move. But Kansas City got their guy 1 year ahead of the Bills, and they are always one step ahead, right? And then the pick that could have been Creed Humphrey, and the Bills drafted Boogie Basham, right? And so then the trade, McDuffie and Elam situation, Kansas City trading up and ahead of the Bills, drafting McDuffie, guaranteeing him. So a lot of situations all over those years, and the losses to Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, the Bills has been able to beat that Kansas City Chiefs teams, but always on the wrong time, right? The Bills beat them in the regular season and lose in the playoffs. So it seems like the Bills are always one step ahead. The last laugh is always from Kansas City, right? And this trade gives us this feeling again. I can totally understand people mad at Brandon Bean, mad at the Buffalo Bills, because trading with Kansas City Chiefs and then drafting Xavier Worthy, a guy that compares to Tyreek Hill. Oh, but he's not. Tyreek Hill is almost 200 pounds and Worthy is 165. What makes Tyreek Hill awesome isn't his weight. What makes him awesome is his totally next level, different kind of speed. And Worthy might have even a better speed than that. So, yes, there are questions about his weight, about his body type, but his speed is for real, and that changes everything. That guy will be a nightmare to be covered. That guy will really cause fear into opposing defenses. It will make Kelsey's life so easier. So I get it, Bills Mafia. I understand being mad at Brandon Bean for yet again putting himself in position to be fooled by the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet again putting himself in position to people to point out and say, look, yet again the Kansas City Chiefs are one step ahead of the Buffalo Bills. That's why they are beating the Bills and taking the AFC and taking over the league. And it's not the Bills, because they are always one step ahead. So Brandon Bean knew that. And even like this, he didn't care. He thought that adding a third-round pick would be more valuable than picking his guy there. And again, if he stays there, it's no guarantee that he picks Worthy. He could have picked another guy that prefers. We know that he didn't love Worthy because he didn't make that pick. We know also that he didn't love anybody enough to make that pick. But he could have picked another guy, and the Kansas City Chiefs would end with Worthy the same way. So there are no guarantees, all right, if the Bills stay there and make the pick. And also, I see a lot of people mad because the pick is Worthy. But if the Bills had picked Worthy there and Kansas City Chiefs had picked with the 32nd pick Led McConkey, I know a lot of Led McConkey guys would hate it and would say, oh, the Bills picked the wrong guy and Led McConkey will kill it for Patrick Mahomes in the slot and the Bills are doomed, all right? And or if the Bills had picked Worthy and Kansas had picked Adonai Mitchell, and down the road Adonai Mitchell becomes a true number one, I know for sure I would be one of the guys that would say, look, I always told you that Adonai Mitchell would become a number one wide receiver. And so I feel like no matter what, there would be a lot of criticism going Brandon Bean's direction based on people's preference, because those guys, Worthy, Mitchell, McConkey, Leggett, Coleman, Franklin, I feel all those guys, they are all a matter of preference, all matter of your personal opinion. How do you see wide receiver? What do you want from your wide receivers? People believe I hate Led McConkey. I don't hate Led McConkey. Probably if Len McConkey was in the last year's draft, I would love him in the first round, because I feel like last year the Bills needed a Cole Beasley replacement, and that's where I feel McConkey will be at his best, playing the slot. He can play outside, but some people think he compares favorably to the Jets wide receiver Wilson. I don't see it. I don't see this guy surviving outside with his releases and struggling against press. I don't see him being a great outside wide receiver. So I feel like he will need to play slot to play at his best. And he might become a great slot wide receiver. I just think the Bills don't need it right now, because Khalil Shakir plays better in the slot. Curtis Samuel is better in the slot. Kincaid will play a lot of slot as well if Knox is still in the fold. So the Bills don't need a slot wide receiver now. They need an outside presence to take over those Diggs snaps. Even he doesn't need to lead the team in catches or in yards, but he needs to play outside and play even Gabriel Davis' role. Stretching the field, being a physical presence. I feel that's what the Bills need, and that's why I'm so down on Len McConkey in this draft. Right? I don't think that's the guy the Bills need right now, but I can understand people who loves him, and I might be wrong. Maybe McConkey really can play outside, and he shows it. Time will tell, but I'm not really confident. And I can see the Bills drafting a guy at 28, and people still being totally mad because in their eyes, they could see Chiefs getting out of the draft with a better wide receiver, at least on their personal opinion. So with that said, I think Bean can't think about the Kansas City Chiefs. He gotta think about the Bills, and he gotta think that he'll be able to get the most value out of those trades, right? And I won't evaluate these moves out of the first round, first giving away Worthy or the opportunity to get Worthy. The second one, giving away the opportunity to get Xavier Legette, that I know a lot of people love. I won't judge it right now because I don't know who are the guys that the Bills will pick, and time will tell if Brandon Beane was right or not, right? I would love to have Adonai Mitchell with the next pick. I don't know, and I'm not confident it will happen. In the last mock, in the final mock draft that I've done here in the Leading the Charge in Portuguese with my brother Rafael Satamini, we traded down in the first round the same way as the Bills did, right? A little bit different. We traded out of the first round, but if I'm not mistaken, it was to the 34th overall pick, something like that. And we drafted Jerson Newton, who's still available. And he was the best player on our board. And that guy can be really dominant. So if the Bills draft best player available and draft Jerson Newton and do what we did, because we did that and started to monitor the wide receiver board because Xavier Worthy was still there and there were other options. And we started to monitor, and then we traded up in the second round, 10 picks to the 5th overall. And then we drafted Xavier Worthy there. So Xavier Worthy isn't on the board anymore, but Adonai Mitchell is there. McConkey is there for people who loves McConkey. Franklin is there for people who loves Franklin. Keon Coleman, who I suspect is the guy, is Bean's guy. I've been with this gut feeling since the beginning of the process. And Scarecrow from Buffalo Rumblings just wrote an awesome article there yesterday about Keon Coleman being the analytics guy for the Bills. So if you draft like Johnny Newton and then you monitor those guys and get your guy still in the second round, Adonai Mitchell, one of your guys, I feel like it's a good haul. I feel like it's a good opportunity to add a lot of talent to this Bills roster. Johnny Newton would be awesome in the rotation from get-going, right? He's more or less a penetrator, a three technique, a guy like Ed Oliver, and in the beginning he won't be a fit to play alongside Ed Oliver, but the Bills don't need it right now because we still have Daquan Jones playing nose tackle, and it would be nice to have Newton playing the rotation. It would be nice to give Oliver some time to rest and have another Oliver to wreak havoc. So, and even on clear passing downs, it would be awesome to have Newton playing alongside Oliver. Also, Newton is heavier, is bigger than Oliver. I don't see why he can't develop a skill set down the line and to be able to play alongside Ed Oliver going forward and become his partner in crime and the next big time defensive tackle duo for the Buffalo Bills. After all, Kyle Williams wasn't supposed to be able to play nose tackle, and he did in All Pro level. So I know Kyle Williams is a kind of unfair comparison, but I can see Oliver and Newton playing together in the future. With both of them being able to develop some skill set and to play decently the nose tackle, the one technique when necessary. Oliver has some experience playing this role and playing, especially in college, he played nose tackle, so he's smaller, but the way the Bills like to use their defensive tackles to penetrate, Oliver and Newton, they are awesome. They are great at it. So I would love Newton pick. A lot of people are talking Cooper DeJean. That's another guy with a lot of value. I wouldn't be mad with this pick as well. I feel those guys add value to the Bills defense. I know a lot of people will be mad. A lot of people will talk a lot of bad things about Sean McDermott going defense again and he never learns and things like that. But the value is great there with a historical run in the first round without defenders being drafted. A lot of offensive guys, a lot of quarterbacks. It pushed some guys that normally would be drafted in the first round out of the first round. The gene fits there. Johnny Newton fits it, right? So we have some offensive linemen. Powers Johnson is another guy that fits it. So there is a lot of value still for the Bills. The Bills can still draft great players in the second round. Again, I feel like if he can trade down from the 33rd pick, he will do that because he can add more value and he can control his board, try to trade up back and secure one of those talents. So I feel the Bills are still in a great position to add a lot of talent in this draft. Now, if Xavier Worthy becomes the guy that I believe he can become, absolutely, I can see a lot of people trashing Brandon Beane down the line in the future. And especially if the guys that he drafts this year don't have the impact expected. Because if he can draft great players, if he drafts Johnny Newton and he becomes a stud defensive tackle for the Bills, and then he drafts one wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell, McConkey, Franklin, Coleman, it doesn't matter. His guy, and he works out and he's a great wide receiver for the Bills. Great. I feel like people will be able to understand it better. Just like the example that I gave you about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The reason most of Bills Mafia isn't mad at Brandon Beane for the Patrick Mahomes pick is because they get it that Josh Allen was put in a harder situation than Mahomes. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of Bills Mafia trading Josh Allen for Patrick Mahomes. Even the people who thinks Mahomes is better than Allen. I know a lot of people believe that. I don't do it, but a lot of people do. So even in this situation, I feel like the Bills Mafia stick to their guy and they have at least a comparable guy with Josh Allen. So if Brandon Beane can draft a guy that, Xavier Worthy is great. Okay, Xavier Worthy is the next Tyreek Hill. Okay, but Adonai Mitchell is the next DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, and the Bills draft him. I can get it. I can get Bills Mafia feeling good, feeling okay, all right, with the trade. Oh, we traded. We allowed them to take Tyreek Hill, but we got Hopkins in an extra third that we drafted. I know the next Terrell Bernard, the next or new starting safety maybe in the third round. So I can get people understanding it if Brandon Beane kills it with the picks that he's added with his trades. But if with the picks he drafts a new Boogie Basham, a new Cody Ford, even a new AJ Peneza, then Brandon Beane is in trouble. And this move might might seal his career as a Bills GM. I feel like there is a good opportunity with these trades. I feel like he has a lot of quality players still available, and he can make it work. And this trade can be seen at the end of the day, maybe with a veteran wide receiver being added. I come back to the Stephon Diggs interview when Bean said, "Don't judge it right now. Judge it in September. Let me. It's still happening. It's still the process is going. Let me finish. It's a work in progress. Let me finish this move. When the move is in, when everything is all said and done, if we have a new wide receiver that contributes, if we see Kincaid and Shakir stepping up, if we add quality pieces with those picks that he's traded out of the first round and was able to gather all those picks, if you can add quality pieces that help the Bills to compete and to take the next step, great. Now, if he, and it's not easy to hit on every pick, right? So if he has trouble to hit on those picks, the clock is clicking, like the time is going. And with McDermott, he has fired his former right hand man in Fraser. He's fired or he moved on from Dable. It wasn't his choice, but we saw that they weren't on the same page. And then he fired Dorsey. He's changed a lot of the guys in the coaching staff now. So there isn't more guys to point the finger. It's starting to go, look, Sean McDermott, do the thing or you're going to be next. Like maybe not this year, but in 2 years. So the clock is ticking. You need to get something more from McDermott and from this team. And with Bean, I feel like people were more patient with him. People used to say, "Oh, Bean's job has been better than McDermott, so we can maybe fire McDermott and stick to Bean." But now with this move, I feel like he also drew all the responsibility to him. Like all Bills Mafia is now like the spotlights are on you, Brandon Bean. So show us that Kansas City isn't smarter than you. Show us that Kansas City isn't one step ahead, And for once, give us the last laugh, right? It's time. Bills Mafia is tired of being the joke, right? We'll play the Chiefs again next regular season, and I'm pretty confident the Bills are going to beat them. But are we going to celebrate it? Probably not, because we have seen this movie. So it's time to Brandon Bean, to Sean McDermott, to show that McDermott got to show that he can be better than Andy Reid, right? Bean got to show that he can be better than Kansas City front office. It's time, because I will tell you what, people love to talk things about Josh Allen and to want more from Josh, but Josh has shown in some games that he can beat Patrick Mahomes. Even in the 13 seconds game, Josh put the Bills in position to win more than once, right? And the defense gave away the game. Mahomes could count on his kicker to kick a long field goal to tie the game and go to the overtime. When Josh needed his kicker, he missed it from a short distance. When Josh needed his number one defense, they couldn't stop Mahomes or the Chiefs, right? Or make it tougher. So Josh has shown enough. Josh has shown that he can go toe-to-toe and he can beat Mahomes. If you isolate quarterback play, Josh has shown that he can be better than Mahomes head-to-head, all right? Oh, you want to talk about consistency all season long? I get it. But head-to-head for one game, for the playoffs, I've seen Josh play amazing football and more than enough to beat Mahomes. He got to have help. McDermott hasn't shown he can be better than Reid head-to-head. He hasn't. He got to do it. It's not easy. It's not for for everybody to be better than Andy Reid and to beat him head to head, but you gotta be able to do it for once in the playoffs, right? And Brandon Bean, he hasn't shown he's being smarter than the Chiefs. The Chiefs jumped ahead of him to take McDuffie, and now they called and Bean was playing with fire, like, oh, I'm gonna take this call. Oh, I'm gonna make this trade. I'm gonna be smarter than them. So show it. Show us the baby, right? Show us you are smarter than them, and let's see who are the players that the Bills will add with those picks. I'm willing to wait. Okay, I'm not giving up. I'm not like, oh, I'm done. Same old Bills, same old Brandon Bean, same old McDermott-led team, and the Chiefs are owning us. No, I still give them the benefit of doubt. I still want to see what's Brandon Bean plan. I still want to see who are the guys that he'll target and what's the Bills roster when September comes. Yeah, maybe he allowed the Chiefs to take the next Tyreek Hill, but it's part of the game. Just like I said before, the Bills could have made their pick there, and the Chiefs would still have Worthy at the 32nd pick, or they could have picked Worthy not believing in him, since not making the pick and trading it to the Chiefs shows me that he wasn't that high on Worthy or any of the other wide receivers, not high enough to not take that third round pick and those pick swaps to be in a better position to make other moves or pick better players. So that's why I'm still willing to wait. That's why I will see what happens next. But if you loved Worthy, I can understand you getting mad, and I can understand people who are pessimistic now. But my advice would be wait, take your time, let's wait and see. For example, I have Marcel here on the chat. Marcel is commenting here, and Marcel is a guy that he's always talking and how much he hated Worthy. So probably for Marcel, the trade down was awesome because trading with the Chiefs, he doesn't believe Worthy can stay healthy, and he doesn't believe Worthy can succeed at his weight. So it was a big time masterpiece by Bean trading with the Chiefs and making them play they pick the wrong player. It's for a guy like Marcel, he should be ecstatic. He should be really happy. He should be, because the Chiefs paid the Bills a third round pick and drafted a guy that wants to succeed. I know a lot of people like Marcel doesn't believe in Worthy. So for people like this, you can't really be mad at Brandon Bean. So he's mad because he wanted a trade up for Brian Thomas Jr., but it didn't happen. And then the pick was the 28th overall, Marcel. So trading out, having more picks, more ammunition, and your main rival taking the wrong player for you, that's awesome, right? For people that believes Worthy won't work in the NFL, that believes that his weight is a problem, so you can be extremely happy. But we'll see. Time will tell. Let's wait and see, and let's see what Brandon Bean has as a plan. If it works, great. The Bills will be ready to compete again, and this retooling will be successful. And for people that are mad and ready to quit, I have also good news. If it doesn't work out, probably the Bills are closer on moving on from McDermott and Bean than they were yesterday with this move. So time will tell, Bills Mafia. I'm on the side of that I didn't like passing the opportunity to take a wide receiver that I believe was worth it in the 28th, and that guy for me could have been Adonai Mitchell, could have been Xavier Worthy. But AD is still there, so the value is still there with other players. So I'm happy with the quantity of and quality of picks that he's been able to gather with those moves. Worth it to the Chiefs for me is a problem? Yes, 100%. Time will tell. Okay, Bills Mafia, that's it for the Leading the Charge today. Hit that like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel. That's where I'm producing content now. And for international audience, for Brazilian audience, especially Latin America, I will be live tonight again with the second round. And the Leading the Charge in English will be back next Friday. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for the conversation. Agree, disagree, let me know on the YouTube section. It's always a pleasure to interact with all Bills Mafia here via chat. Support my channel, subscribing freely and hitting that like button. Thank you so much, Bills Mafia. See you tonight, and always go Bills.